Well, we're back at it. I'm going to be breaking down round 3 of ADP and telling you who I'm going to target, what I like, what I don't like about the round, and everything in between. Coming up on this action packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane. You can find me on Twitter, X, whatever we call it, at Matthew_Ane. Please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you may listen. And also, if you're listening on, YouTube or watching on YouTube, click the bell below and subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right, we're in it. We're back at it again. Unfortunately, Dom wasn't able to make it today, and that's okay. It's the Mets show today, and that's going to be even funner. Honestly, I'm going to do this a little bit different since I'm alone. And honestly, too, it might be the structure moving forward, but essentially, I'm going to go over the ADP, talk about players as we go down, just like we have. But then I'm going to also, by the end of the show, you're going to want to stick around, who I'm actually targeting in the round. There's always somebody that you kind of want to get and who you're going to want to avoid, and that's where I'm going to do that this end of this episode, essentially. So stick around for that, and let's get into the episode. Let's start off with the top here. Ketel Marte going off the board at pick 25 right after Trey Turner. A couple guys that we didn't really dive into right in the last episode, but Bryce Harper, Freddie Freeman, Trey Turner all go right before him. And then it's Ketel Marte. And you know what? I'm not mad at the pick. It's also a little bit risky, honestly. You look at all the second basemen that have gone already, and I'm looking, and it's really just Mookie Betts, and that's about it. So you're telling me Ketel Marte is going off the board at second base at number 2, if I'm not mistaken? Yes, literally number 2. And for me, that ain't working for me. I have Ketel Marte ranked pretty decently, let's be honest here, but I don't have him as my number 2 second baseman. That's way too high. He's my number 3. And my boy Ozzie Albies, who is my number, de facto 2, should be 1 if Mookie Betts wasn't second base eligibility, is going at 51, and that is a big difference. And quite honestly, I'd much rather wait around for my boy Ozzie Albies. Just the value's a lot better. You're talking end of the 4th, beginning of the 5th, and quite honestly, to go and get my number 1 second baseman, I'm all about it. But Ketel Marte, it had a great season. Let's talk about it real quick. 504 at bats, 93 runs, 23 doubles, 2 triples, 36 bombs, 95 ribs, 7 stolen bases, batted .292. Like by no means am I discounting this season whatsoever. He's also played 2 fullish seasons, whereas in the past, before the last 3 years, really only broke it. I mean, had 2 years of disappointment, especially 21, where he wasn't able to complete the whole season. Never really lived up to the hype in a lot of years too. Okay, you expected one thing and then it was kind of really disappointing. Whereas now, he's been pretty healthy and pretty stable. So I could see the allure. Only 30 years old, going to be 31 this year. But just come on, guys. You're number 2 second baseman overall. Nah. The team isn't as fulfilling. I don't feel there's as much upside. I feel like what we got last year was the ceiling. I don't think there's ever going to be a world in a way where we see stolen base numbers ever. Whereas, with Ozzie Albies, there is definitely significantly more stolen base opportunity. Plus, the team around him is a lot better. So the runs and ribby capabilities are much higher. So for me, I'm waiting around and I'm going to pass on Ketel Marte. Wink, wink. He's probably going to be the guy I'm avoiding in this round. In round 3, because I just there's other guys in this round I'd much rather get. Let's move on. Let's talk about Jazz Chisholm. Jazz, outfielder. I like Jazz. I like him on the Yankees, but there's still some pains I have with Jazz as well. Jazz at outfield for me, I have him rocking at 24. We're talking about bringing him off the board quite early at outfield. Let's see where he's going to be, where he's coming off the board at outfield in terms of ADP or at the position versus just overall being 26 overall. Um, Jazz is coming off the board as pretty much the 12th, um, 12th outfielder, and that again is too high, way too rich for my blood. That means he's going over other guys. And let me go back to it actually. Other guys that are going under him are like, you know, Jackson Merrill, Kyle Schwarber, Marcelo Zuna, James Wood. You know, there's names that like I just much rather have over him. Luis Robert. There's names that I just feel like, okay, I'd much rather have them and later. And there's other guys that I'd much rather capitalize in this round, which I will not be giving up until the end of the episode. But Jazz Chisholm's another guy I'm probably going to be avoiding based off of just team construction. Also, too, you got to think about injury history, things like that. So for me, Jazz is a pass. I feel like the price is too high. And also, too, you're really going to feel comfortable about walking away with him as your OF1 because that's really what you're doing unless you've gotten, back-to-back OFs and you just want to take that upside of Jazz because Jazz a full season, you know, could be magical. Like we've seen in stints what he humanly can do. It's just he's never been able to like really come full head and just be like, okay, cool. Because 23, his pace was absolutely bonkers because he only played about 352 at bats, walked away with 19 home runs and 22 stolen bases in that short period of time. And if he would have played another 200 at bats, even like 150, you probably would have saw almost 30 home runs. You would have saw a lot more, even though he was on Miami, put him on the Yankees lineup for a full year. Yeah, I could see the allure, but for me, it's just like, nah, no, thank you. I can't take that. He's played literally 500, more than 500 at bats once in his career. And the time before that was in 2021, where he played 464 at bats. He's never really played a full season, 13 games off. I'll give him that. That's his first time. I'm not willing to bank, my third round pick on a guy that can't stay healthy. I need to see it. If he fell into the fourth, fifth round, we could talk about it as like your OF2, like a true OF2. I'm kind of all about it unless I'm kind of banging out, OF or OF and then positional player, another positional player, like, anywhere between the infield positions, then back to OF, then I'll do it. But other than that, I ain't touching them. It's just, it ain't pretty for you. Let's move on. Our number 4 pitcher off the board, Logan Gilbert. I'm not mad at this whatsoever. In terms of Logan Gilbert's rankings, for me, I have him at 6. There's a guy later in this round that I'd prefer to have. And that's Corbin Carroll. Not Corbin Carroll, Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns, I think, is just, especially where he lands, could be a lot higher upside. I think that he's, if you listen to, our starting pitcher rankings episode where we broke down our early rankings, why I felt that Corbin Burns can have a resurgence, both not only in the strikeout category, but so much more, because I just think that he was figuring out for these last 2 years, and you saw the improvement over, the year, his down year, then improvement last year, and things kind of trending in the right direction. Now I think this year will be the get right year. I don't care about the age. I don't think he's going to be horrible. I just prefer him. Logan Gilbert's sexy and young, and I get it. Finally had like a real true breakout season. I mean, the season was incredible. You look at it, 208 innings pitched, well done, 220 strikeouts, a 3.23 ERA with a whip of 0.88. Like, dude, like I am impressed. We all knew this was, something that was in the realm of possibilities. Kid was the number 1 pitching prospect at one point, but man, oh man, I love me some Gilly. Don't get me wrong, but Corbin Burns for me is just higher, higher for me. And also Yamamoto too is higher for me as well. So the fact that we haven't run into either one of these guys yet is telling me, hey, I'm going to wait and kind of get my higher ranked guys at this point. But that's personal preference at this point. You're splitting hairs. It's a matter of, which guy you want to go. I won't be mad at leaving the draft with him as my SP1. More power to you. He's going to be phenomenal this year. It's just a matter of where can I one only have return or ROP, return on pick, and 2, where's the ceiling play? I feel like the ceiling is there with Gilbert, but you're also drafting him at his ceiling, whereas Burns, he can honestly finish as SP1 if everything clicks. But coming up next, I'm going to be breaking down the rest of this, a little bit more of this second round. Moving great and at a great pace, so I should be able to give you what I want at the end of the episode. So stick around. Coming up next. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need in one place to place your live bets on NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more in the same place where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And guys, Dom and I have been saying it. We need to bet against the Giants, unfortunately. They're starting Tommy Cutlets this week. Let's do it. I love the nickname, but I hate him as a starting quarterback, which means we're just going to lose. So bet against him, bet the under on the Giants. Honestly, even bet the under on, Malik Neighbors' yardage. It's just one of those things where I just don't think the two are going to be successful together. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast, Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Honestly, guys, this offseason, you're going to want to get your hands on our rankings from redraft, dynasty, prospects, sleepers, breakout busts, values, and bounce back players. All the wonderful stuff that you're going to want to get your hands on that's going to help you win your leagues. We got it. And it's a minimal cost. You get a free 2 weeks when you join. Plus, I usually throw in a little summary of, highlighted stats that I feel should be, kept in the back of your mind every single day after every episode. So, little things that you wouldn't really think of or kind of highlight, they now get a little review back in a text message back to your phone directly. Plus, you get to ask us all those lovely questions. Check us out. Links in the description below. But all right, let's get back in this show. All right, and Rafael Devers is up. And, man, he got a new teammate today, too, Mr. Crochet. Well done, Red Sox. Hate you. Hey, I'm a Yankee fan. What do you expect? Congratulations, Boston fans. But, Devers is a solid pick. You want to get your third baseman? I'm not mad at it. I have Devers ranked at third base at... There it is. Devers at 5. There's other guys that just haven't come up yet that, again, I might pass on. But at that point, it's a matter of preference. One of the guys is in this round. Both of the guys are in this round. It's just a matter of preference. You want Devers? I'm not going to fault you. I just had the other two ranked a little bit higher based off of, just what I think their ceiling could be. There's Devers and but there's Austin Riley and Manny Machado also in this round that are lower. And I don't understand. I mean, I can understand the reason why Austin Riley is so down, and I think honestly he's a value this year. But the other thing is that team just can't stay as bad as it was. And Machado played his butt off this year and this past year, and I feel he's worth over Devers. Where Devers did have a good season, but at the same time, I don't think he outperformed anybody. And I think the team around him, even with Roman Anthony probably getting the call this year, is going to really support and bolster up the counting stats, right? Like, so let's look at it, right? He had 525 at-bats this past year, 87 runs, 34 doubles, 5 triples, 28 bombs, 83 ribs, 3 stolen bases, and batted .272. The power number is good. Like, I mean, you look at it, 28 home runs. Obviously, I'd love to see more of like 32 to 35. But, whatever. I'll take this right under. But the runs and ribs is the part that's really lackluster. The team itself can drive him home, but is the play there where there's enough talent around him to go and put him above the other two guys in terms of ceiling? And no, the answer is no, in my opinion. There's nobody that's really like a standout player that truly drives it home for me. That'll really be able to make that upside there for me. Whereas, you have the Austin Rileys on an incredible team. You have the Manny Machados that are surrounded by players that can definitely enhance the play. Boston, I'm not, poo-pooing on. They're a good team. They compete. But, I just see a limited ceiling, and that is why he's just lower in the rankings for me versus, anything else. But I'm not mad at you for taking him. That is a matter of where you want to place your bet. They're all going around, a couple picks within each other. So your personal choice, I won't fault you. But for me, I just won't be taking him. Let's move on. Let's talk about Matt Olson, who honestly, great pick. Take advantage of, you know, the lackluster year last year of everybody, just expecting the same thing that he's done for the last couple of years, and him really taking a step back. But it is what it is. I'll read off his season numbers and I'll tell you about different stuff. But like pretty much he had 600 at bats. He did stay healthy. He had 78 runs, 37 doubles, 29 home runs, 98 ribs, and batted a lackluster 247, which sucks. But I mean, hey, you got the power, you got the ribs, you just didn't get the runs. But the team as a whole took a step back, and the batting average obviously was not as good as we'd like it, right? Like that is really where it's at. You know, the batting average being at 247, whereas in the past you've seen 283, 270, you know, and last year was just an incredible career year. But I mean, you would have at least expected maybe 250, 260 from him and whatnot. But hey, it is what it is. You also look at you know, first half versus second half. The first half through 353 at bats, he batted 230, but that second half through 247 at bats, he batted 271. It was definitely a better half for him as a whole. He had 16 home runs versus 13. The pace was a lot better. He had 54 ribs in that second half versus 44, and even the runs were barely under. So I mean, like he had a way better half, and that's also with the team that's was not having a good season as a whole, and he was able to kind of be a second half revelation for you and kind of hopefully drive you to be more, fantasy reliable at that point. So for me, I love Matt Olson around this pick. I'm definitely not mad at you. And I have a feeling he's probably going to fall a little bit more in ADP just based off of as more people start to draft and as more people have, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess it'll come to me later. But essentially like a bad taste in their mouth left from last year. So, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm gonna take that all day. But coming up, we got not coming up. Next, we got William Contreras, catcher for the first time up in these rankings, playing for the Milwaukee Brewers. He had a really good season. I'll tell you that. 595 at bats, 99 runs, 37 doubles, 2 triples, 23 bombs, 92 ribs, 9 stolen bases, and batted 281. He had a really good year. Honestly, he had a career year. Most home runs he's ever hit, most ribbies he's ever hit. At bats were consistent for 2 years in a row, which I like, over 500. Most runs in his career, most and whatnot. He's a really good baseball player. But can I ask you something? And I want you to just reflect on this. You don't have to give me hate, but reflect on it and think about it. Is he going to outperform anybody in terms of at any other position? Right? And is he going to be so far ahead of the other catchers at the position that you're willing to pick him in the third round? This is what you got to ask yourself when you're picking William Contreras. Because one, you're banking on him repeating exactly what he did, which honestly, with this career year, you're going to expect some negative regression. And two, you're also saying everybody behind him is going to perform worse than him. And even if not worse, he's going to be as good as them, and you're going to have that edge at the position. I don't think it's worth it, in my opinion. It's not an indictment on Wilson Contreras, but I don't feel you're going to get that ROP, return on pick. I feel like you're going to go with the next guy, Austin Riley, and Austin Riley's going to outperform him, probably perform circles around him just based off of, runs, ribs, home runs, and batting average is going to be on par. So that power aspect that you're going to get from Riley is now there. And also, too, if there's negative regression, which I'm expecting from Wilson Contreras, even 2 home runs, now you're talking probably a difference with Riley on his regular season, where he normally hits anywhere from 33 to 35 home runs with the 40 home run upside. And William Contreras being all the way down at 20, 21 home runs. That's a big drop. And then the potential with Riley's team for the runs and ribs is going to be significantly less than William Contreras at the end of the day. So picking a catcher this early, I feel, is a mistake. So bust pick, in my opinion. But anyway, guys, coming up next, I'm going to finish out the position, and then I'm going to tell you who I'm avoiding, who I'm picking, and who I think is actually a value in this round. Coming up next. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filtered out the fluff and to show you an incredible deal on great seats so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. With Game Time Picks curation, make it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time has a I'm sorry, plenty of great features and such as all-in-one pricing. Toggling through this feature is a total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkouts. Views from your seats. You actually get a really great panoramic view right from your seat, and it moves around, so you're making sure you're not sitting behind that pole. You get the lowest prices guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, which is absolutely spectacular. Plus, Game Time has the best purchase coverage, ticket coverage in all of ticket industry. Like I promise you, they really do. They are awesome. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time. What time is it? It's Game Time. And also, guys, before they were a sponsor on this show, I've used them before I've even worked at Locked On. I love this app. I've been using this app for years. I trust it wholeheartedly. There's not another app I go to. Game Time is amazing. So what time is it? Game time. All right, let's get into this last half of this show. I'm actually pretty excited. So we're going to talk about my boy Austin Riley, who I've mentioned probably about 17 times, honestly. If you would have turned it into a drinking game this episode, you probably would have been drunk. Austin Riley, had a really bad season for what we paid for him. He was going in the second round last year and sadly did not ROP. Season as a whole, 425 at bats, 63 runs, 26 doubles, 2 triples, 19 bombs, 56 ribs, and batted .256. Now, I guess he missed a little bit of time. Missed about 40 games by a little bit. That's a good chunk. But still, even when he was healthy, it really just wasn't good. You look at the splits from this year of like first half, second half as it loads for me. And you're just like, really? So like the first half where he played most games, 82 games, 311 at bats, 48 runs, 20 doubles, 2 triples, 12 home runs, 39 ribs, batted .257. Second half, same batting average, 254, only 7 home runs, 17 ribs, and had 114 at bats, so about a quarter. But still, it was not like it was fun. It was not great. April, he was batting .226, only had 2 home runs. May, he batted .231, only had 1 home run through that month. Then June, he started picking it up quite a bit. He had 6 home runs that month with 13 ribs, batting .289. July, he had 5 home runs, was batting .280. And then August teetered off and then didn't even play September. So, the first 2 months were really slow starts and really kicked into overdrive. You were getting that resurgence, but then he got hurt, unfortunately. So he's coming at a discount this year. I'm liking the pick. I'm actually really excited to draft if you can't tell where he's going to land in my kind of at the end of the show, But Austin Riley's going to be fantastic. I'm really counting on him for 2025. So Austin Riley, baby. Chris Sale, next guy off. Cy Young winner. Congratulations. I'm not mad at the price. I can actually kind of like I told you, I probably saw this coming, but I have him as my number 8 pick. I still haven't seen Yamamoto. I still haven't seen Corbin Burns. I haven't seen Cole Reagans that I've had ahead of him. So for me, I'm gonna just pass and just let him fall to somebody else. Next up is Manny Machado. Manny Machado, big fan. Honestly, the elbow did not play a factor into his season last year. Kind of was a real value last year, honestly, and I'm impressed and, did his thing. 593 bats, 77 runs, which I know will be better this year. There'll be positive regression. 30 doubles, 29 bombs, 105 ribs, 11 stolen bases, and batted .275. Well done, sir. I am all about it, personally. You can't really get mad at it. And he had a better season than Rafael Devers, the guy I was comparing it to. He had all that Rafael had was literally 10 more runs. And, that's just about it. If you haven't really thought about it, He had 80, 87. Devers did, and Machado with his San Diego Padres only had 10 less at 77, but had one more home run, about 15 more ribs, and he had way more stolen bases, and the batting average was on par. I think it's a better price for me, and that's why I have him ranked. And I think there's higher upside with Manny Machado going into this year. Very so with the ribs capability is, and I think this year we're going to see more in the runs category. So Manny Machado locked and loaded for that one. Let's move on. Corbin Burns, man, I can't wait to see where he lands. He had a good season this year. Um, you know, Obviously not like that career years, the last couple years where we've seen the strikeout numbers be overwhelming, like in 2022, where he had literally 41 more strikeouts than he had innings pitched. That's obviously come down. That was a career year for 2 years in a row. Um, but then it kind of slowed down a little bit. But if you if you go back to our starting pitcher episode, I'll really break it down. But I think this year we're going to see a resurgence of maybe not that elite, but I think definitely worth our while. Still had a great year. You know, 292 ERA, sub three. Can't get mad at that. There was 194 innings pitched, had about 181 strikeouts with a whip of 109. Like, that's a great season. Obviously, you'd like more strikeouts, but I'm telling you, that's coming back. All the underlying stuff support it. The distribution, the pitch mix, all that. I think that he's getting ready to prepare himself for the latter years of his career to maintain his health. And that's all good signs. Let's see what happens. That landing spot is going to be key too. It's probably going to get him a bump in the ADP. So I'm not expecting for him to be drafted here for much longer, but it is what it is. And let's talk about this last guy here of the round, Jackson Merrill. Dom and I are huge fans of Jackson Merrill, honestly. Um, he had a great rookie campaign, you know, 554 at bats, 77 runs, 31 doubles, 6 triples, 24 bombs, 90 ribs, 16 stolen bases, and batted 292. You know what? Like, well done, Jackson Merrill. Everything about him really screams, I am here to stay. And, you know, he's just going to be incredible. I'm actually loading up a Savant page as we go in so I can read off some stuff. His ex-WOBA was a 372. His ex-batting average was a 303. His ex-slug was a 534. Average exit velocity was at really nice at 90.5 miles an hour. Barreled 11.3% of the time. Created hard contact 43.9% of the time. Launch angle was sweet at 39.6. And didn't really whiff, didn't really strike out, but unfortunately also didn't walk much. And he chased a little too much. That is all a little bit of the rookie aspect as well. To have a season the way he did in his rookie season, to then come into his sophomore year, there's higher expectations for him, truthfully. We look at it and we go, why wouldn't I want him on my team? Why wouldn't we want to have I think the draft price is actually pretty fair. I think that, quite honestly, he deserves to be in the third round, and I think that, quite honestly, he's being underdrafted, if anything. And I think as we get closer to draft season, he's going to cost a little bit more. People are going to remember how awesome he is, and when second he hits spring, you're going to be reminded. Jackson Merrill, great pick here. Definitely not mad at the price at all. Cole Reagans is our last guy of the round. He didn't make it in for some reason. It's in my little queue here, but Cole Reagans had a fantastic season. SP1 for you on every team. Followed up that awesome campaign of 2023 with an incredible 2024, 186 innings pitched, 223 strikeouts, a 3.14 ERA with a 1.14 whip. Absolutely incredible. The Royals are getting better. He's only 26, and quite honestly, I won't be surprised if he finishes as a top 5 pitcher. Him coming off the board against other guys, I'm going to wait, but I'm also not mad at either. I might even be able to snag both at this point, but the way everything's going this round, I'm going to start talking draft philosophy and guys that I like, is you can wait on starting pitcher and load up at your bats and still walk away with a phenomenal SP1. So maybe picking an SP in this round maybe isn't the best with this current ADP landscape. As it matures, our strategy is going to change, and that's just being like water and staying like water and, adjusting as things shift. But right now, I'm waiting. There's names out there that, one, I trust more, and two, quite honestly, they're going at a cheaper price, which means I can go ahead and get any of these guys, which I think are going to give me some serious ROP. My favorite values in this round are obviously the Matt Olsons, Austin Rileys, Manny Machados, and Corbin Burns of this round, even though I probably won't pick any starting pitcher in this round. My stayaways are Ketel Marte, Jazz Chisholm, and, Devers, if you want to, at the end of the draft, after the values that I said, go before him, and then I'd probably be okay with it. Chris Sale, I'm going to avoid because I just don't think that there's going to be a stagnant. I mean, he's going to be able to keep up what he did. I think there's going to be a good chunk of negative regression. Still be top tier talent. Still, I have him ranked as an SP1, just a lower end SP1 than these guys. But yeah, like as a whole, this round actually has a lot of value, and absolutely stay away from William Contreras. I do not think that he's worth the pick. The ROP just does not call for it. So stay away. But with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Any questions, please drop it in the comments below. I got you. Please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Share this show with everybody. It really helps grow the show. And when you're done, check out my boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. My boy really puts it down on the MLB and gives you a great breakdown, all these trade values and things like that. With that, guys, great rest of your day. Peace.